A simple Apache lady rescued an injured ranch owner in the desert without knowing he was the area's richest ranch boss. Look until the last part. The ending will leave you shocked. The storm came suddenly, covering the desert sky with black, mad clouds. Wind ripped through the canyon like a live creature, raising sand into the air until the world turned brown and breathing became hard. Most folks had already gone inside, doors locked, fires protected. No one walked outside in weather like this. No one except Emily. Her cabin stood at the edge of the valley, far from the town, and even farther from ease. The wooden walls bent from years, the roof fixed with old cloth and metal. She owned little, but the desert had taught her to live with almost nothing. When the wind howled, she listened. When animals ran, she paid attention. That's why she noticed the horse. It burst past the ridge, wild-eyed, reins pulling in the dirt. Foam stuck to its mouth. The saddle was dark, too dark with blood. Emily didn't wait. She grabbed her old shawl, wrapped it around her face, and followed the horse's path into the storm. Sand stung her skin like pins. Twice she nearly turned back, but then she saw the drag marks in the dirt. Behind a group of rocks, half covered by blowing sand, lay a man. He wasn't from here. His clothes were nice, even torn and wet. Leather boots made by skilled hands. A silver watch chain shone at his vest. Blood soaked through his shirt near his ribs. He wasn't moving. Emily knelt beside him and placed a hand near his mouth. A faint breath, alive, barely. She looked toward the distant town, too far. The storm would cover him before help came. So she did the only thing she could. She pulled him step by step, inch by inch. Her feet slid, her arms hurt. The wind fought her every move. More than once she fell beside him, breathing hard, ready to stop. But each time she remembered how it felt to be alone. Truly alone. By the time she reached her cabin, night had covered the desert. Inside, she lit a small fire and cleaned his wounds with boiled water and crushed desert plants. Her grandmother once taught her to use. She tore strips from her only spare dress to bandage him. When he shook, she gave him her blanket. When his lips cracked, she tilted her last cup of clean water to his mouth. Hours passed. Near dawn, his eyes opened, confused and weak. He stared at the simple cabin, the fire, and the tired woman beside him. His voice barely rose above a whisper. "Why did you help me?" Emily offered a soft, simple smile. "Because you were alone." Morning light came through the cracks in the wooden walls, thin and pale, carrying the smell of dust after the storm. The desert looked calm again, as if the night's violence had never happened. Inside the cabin, the man lay still on the small cot Emily had built from scrap wood and rope. Sweat had left a shine on his skin, but the bleeding had slowed. When he woke, he watched her quietly before speaking. She was outside lifting a clay pot that looked too heavy for her thin arms, pouring water into a small basin. Her movements were slow from tiredness, yet careful, almost gentle with everything she touched. "You saved my life," he said when she came back in. She shrugged as if it were nothing. "You were hurt." "My name is Ethan," he added after a pause. She studied him for a moment, eyes sharp in a tired face. Emily, that was all. No handshake, no more questions. He told her he worked on a ranch north of the valley. Said his horse had panicked in the storm. Said he got thrown and must have hit the rocks. The story sounded practiced, like something repeated in his mind before he spoke it aloud. Emily listened without interrupting, but she noticed things. His hands were clean beneath the dirt, nails trimmed, palms soft. Even injured, he spoke with the ease of someone used to being heard. When he tried to sit, he winced, not just from pain, but from frustration at being helpless. She gave him cornbread that morning, breaking her piece in half to make his look bigger. He saw it, but pretended not to. Pride moved quietly between them. Days passed and he grew stronger. He watched her fix the roof where the storm had ripped it open. She climbed with rope between her teeth, hammering bent nails straight with a rock. Later she carried firewood from far beyond the ridge, breath shaking, but steps steady. "Don't you have anyone?" he asked one evening as they sat by the fire. She stared into the flames once. He didn't ask more. That night, as she slept on the floor and gave him the cot again, Ethan lay awake. No one here knew his name. No one bowed their head or waited for his orders. This woman who had nothing had given him food, water, and safety without asking what he could offer in return. For the first time in years, he felt small and strangely thankful. The morning the riders came, the desert was too quiet. Even the birds seemed to have vanished from the sky. Emily felt it before she heard anything, a tension in the air that made her pause while grinding plants with a stone. Ethan was outside, testing his strength by walking a short distance from the cabin, still pale but steady on his feet. Then came the sound, distant at first, like thunder rolling across dry land. Hoofbeats. Emily stepped out into the sun, hands shielding her eyes. Over the ridge, dust clouds rose fast, too large for one or two travelers, a group. Her heart tightened. Men didn't ride in numbers like that unless they were searching or hunting. Ethan heard it too. His expression changed in a way she hadn't seen before. Not fear, but recognition. Within moments, 10 riders surrounded the cabin, horses snorting, leather creaking, rifles strapped to their backs. Their clothes were clean, their saddles polished. Nothing like struggling ranch hands. An older man at the front scanned the area, then his eyes locked onto Ethan. He froze. "Sir," the word hung in the air. Every rider got off at once. Hats came off, heads lowered. Emily's gaze moved from them to Ethan, confusion turning slowly into something colder. He looked like he wanted the earth to swallow him. The older man rushed forward. "Mr. Harrington, we've been searching for days. The entire ranch is in chaos. We thought," his voice broke with relief, "we thought we'd lost you." Emily felt the ground tilt under her feet. Mr. Harrington. Ethan didn't meet her eyes. "Emily, you said you were a worker." Silence answered her. The foreman gestured toward the horizon. "Your land stretches past those hills, sir. Cattle are scattered, deals awaiting. The area depends on you." Each word struck harder than the last. Her voice dropped to a whisper. "You own land here?" Ethan finally looked at her, shame plain on his face. "Yes." She stepped back as if distance could protect her. "While my people live in broken huts on soil that was once ours." None of the riders spoke. The wind filled the space between them. "I didn't know," Ethan said, but it sounded weak even to him. They helped him toward his horse, treating him like something precious. Before mounting, he turned back to her. "Come with us, please." Emily shook her head slowly, eyes bright but steady. "I don't belong in your world." He hesitated, then rode away in a cloud of dust, leaving her standing alone. And this time, it wasn't the storm that made the desert feel empty. Weeks passed, and life returned to its quiet rhythm. But something invisible had shifted in the valley. Emily went back to her days of gathering wood, hauling water, and mending what little she owned. Yet the memory of the riders, the hats removed in respect, and the name they spoke with such weight, lingered in her mind like an unanswered question. She told herself it didn't matter. Rich men rode through poor lives all the time, leaving dust behind and nothing else. Still, some evenings she found herself looking toward the ridge. The day he returned, there was no storm, no cloud of riders, no thunder of hooves, just one horse moving slowly along the horizon. She almost didn't recognize him at first. No fine coat, no polished boots. His clothes were plain, dusty from travel. He rode alone. Emily stood outside her cabin, arms crossed, waiting. Ethan got off without a word. He looked different, thinner somehow, not in body, but in pride. The desert wind tugged at his hair as if reminding him where he stood. "I should have come sooner," he said quietly. She didn't answer. "I went back and saw everything with different eyes," he continued. "The workers' camps, the dry wells near your settlement, land records buried in offices no one questions." She studied his face, searching for the lies she'd missed before. "And I was living on comfort, built on silence." He stepped forward and held out a leather folder, papers stamped and signed. "I transferred land rights along the eastern waterline to your people. The old claims were never erased, just ignored. Water access and protection from eviction." Emily didn't take the papers right away. "Why?" His voice was rough. "Because when I had nothing, no power, no name, no certainty I'd even live, you didn't ask who I was. You just helped." The wind moved between them, softer now. "You could have walked past me," he said. "Everyone else does when something isn't their problem." Slowly she reached for the documents, hands trembling. This wasn't charity. It was restoration. "I can't undo the past," he added, "but I won't hide from it anymore." For a long moment they stood there, not rich and poor, not powerful and forgotten. Just two people in the same wide desert. Word spread in the valley in the weeks that followed. Wells were repaired, fences moved. Families who had been drifting began to settle again. And people said it wasn't money that changed the area. It was the day a poor Apache lady chose kindness and changed the heart of the most powerful man in the town. Thank you for riding along on this story. Drop your location and time one more time if you'd like, and if it touched you, like, send some stars, follow, and share it with someone who needs to hear it. See you in the next tale of courage.